college in Mumbai, where the campus thrummed with the energy of Freshers' Week in 2023. Ethan Moore, an 18-year-old from Delhi with a mop of unruly hair and wireframe glasses, stepped onto the grounds, his heart racing. He'd escaped a life of parental expectations and relentless exam prep to pursue a computer science degree, and a chance to reinvent himself. Ethan felt out of place amidst the confident, chattering students forming instant friendships. His backpack felt like his only anchor until he spotted her, Sophie Hayes, standing near the canteen, her laughter bright and magnetic. With her sharp wit and dark eyes that seemed to hold endless stories, she was everything Ethan wasn't. Bold, charismatic, a natural center of attention. Lost already, newbie? Sophie's voice cut through his thoughts, her smile teasing. Ethan fumbled, just figuring things out. She grinned, sizing him up. Stick with us. Orientation's this way. Before he could respond, she tugged him into her circle of friends. That moment marked the start of Ethan's college journey and his instant, dizzying crush on Sophie. Should have walked out then, but I wanted to hear it from both of them. So, I called for my mom. When she saw the will in my hands, her reaction wasn't much better. She at least looked guilty, but her words made my blood boil. "Nathan, honey, you don't need the inheritance," she said softly, like she was doing me a favor. "You have a good job. You're independent. Ryan, well, he struggles. We just want to make sure he's okay." That was the moment something inside me broke. They weren't even denying it. They knew exactly what they were doing and thought it was perfectly fair. They'd spent years enabling Ryan's laziness, and now they were rewarding it by giving him everything while I was cast aside like an afterthought. I took a deep breath, clenched my jaw, and set the will on the table. "Got it," I said, my voice unnervingly calm. "Good to know where we stand." Then I turned and left the house, ignoring their protests as I slammed the door behind me. They'd made their decision. Now it was my turn to make mine. I didn't return to their house after that. No calls, no check-ins. For the first time in years, I let them deal with their own problems. If something needed fixing, they could figure it out. If they needed groceries, they could get to the store themselves. And most importantly, if the mortgage bill came, I wasn't paying it anymore. The silence lasted about 2 weeks. At first, I think they thought I was just sulking and would come crawling back, as always. Maybe they expected me to cool off and apologize for daring to question them. But as the days passed with no word from me and, more importantly, no money, their attitude shifted. Then one afternoon, my phone pinged. Dad texted, "The property taxes are due." That was it. No, "Hey, how are you?" No, "Sorry for what happened." No, "We appreciate all you've done." Just a cold, transactional demand, like I was still their go-to ATM. I stared at the screen, almost amused by their predictability. They really thought they could demand cash, like nothing had happened. That I'd keep playing their game even after they made it clear I was disposable? I typed back, "I'm sure Ryan can handle it since the house is his and all." It took 5 minutes for my mom to call. I let it ring. Then another text. "Nathan, please don't be like this. We need to talk." Oh, now they wanted to talk? Now that their bills were piling up and reality was hitting them? I waited an hour before replying, "There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Live with it." I figured that'd be it for the day. I'd made my stance clear, and I felt no guilt. But then Ryan decided to weigh in. His text came late that evening, and the second I saw his name, I knew it'd be infuriating. Sure enough, it was a pure entitlement. "Dude, why are you being so dramatic? It's not a big deal. Just help them out like you always do." I nearly laughed. Not a big deal? He was acting like I had no right to be upset. I typed back, "Nah, I think you've got it covered, since you're the favorite and all." Ryan replied, "Oh my God, are you seriously mad about the will? Grow up, man. It's just money." Oh, now it was just money? Now that it was his to inherit, it didn't matter? The hypocrisy was staggering. I shot back, "Then you won't mind using some of that money to pay the mortgage, right?" Silence. A few minutes later, Mom texted again, full guilt trip mode. "Nathan, we're your parents. Family takes care of each other. We did so much for you growing up and now you're abandoning us?" I had to breathe deeply to keep from hurling my phone. Abandoning them? I'd spent years ensuring they never struggled while they babied Ryan and rewarded his laziness. And now that they faced the consequences of their choices, I was the villain? I wasn't falling for it. Responded, "You made it clear I wasn't family when you left me out of the will. Now Ryan can take care of you." I could picture Mom gasping dramatically. She always played the victim, even when she was wrong. A few minutes later, Dad texted, and this one had me fuming. We're not asking for much, just enough to cover the mortgage for a few months until we figure things out. Don't be selfish. Selfish? The word made my blood boil. I'd been bailing them out for years, sacrificing my own money, time, and energy to make their lives easier. I'd done everything a good son should. And how did they repay me? By ensuring I got nothing. And now, when I finally stood up for myself, I was selfish? I clenched my jaw, took a breath, and typed, "No, I'm done." Then I turned off my phone. They'd made their choice. Now they'd live with it. The silence lasted a day. I knew they wouldn't give up easily, but I wasn't prepared for what came next. The next morning, I woke to a notification, a bank transfer request. I frowned, unlocking my phone. It was from Mom. She'd sent a request for $3,500. I stared in disbelief, half laughing at the audacity. No message, no explanation, just a shameless demand for the exact amount needed for their overdue mortgage. They weren't even asking anymore. They assumed I'd cave. I declined it without hesitation. Not 5 minutes later, Mom called. I let it ring. Then another text. "Nathan, I know you saw the request. Why did you decline it?" I took my time replying, "Because it's not my responsibility. Try Ryan." Another call. Declined. Then another text. "We're going to lose the house if you don't help us." "Oh, now it was an emergency? After years of treating me like a wallet, they were facing consequences?" I typed, "Maybe you should have thought about that before deciding I didn't matter." Seconds later, Dad texted, "You're really going to let your parents become homeless?" That one made me laugh out loud. The manipulation was so blatant, it was almost comical. They weren't broke or about to be homeless. They just didn't want to touch their savings because they were used to me covering everything. I ignored them all day. That night, Ryan texted, "Dude, just send the money already. You're making this a bigger deal than it is." I clenched my jaw. This entitled little brat thought he could lecture me? I typed, "You mean the money you're inheriting? Why don't you send it?" His response came fast. "You know I don't have that kind of cash right now." Oh, so now it was about affordability? He was fine with me draining my accounts, but when it was his turn, he had nothing? I replied, "Guess you better figure it out then, bro. You're the one they chose." No response. I went to bed feeling oddly at peace, like I'd finally broken free from years of manipulation. But the next day, things escalated. I was at work when my apartment's front desk called. "Hey, Nathan, your parents are here?" I nearly dropped my phone. "What?" She hesitated. "They're saying it's an emergency and you won't answer their calls." Oh, my God. They showed up at my apartment because I stopped paying their bills? I took a deep breath, pinching my nose. "Please don't let them up. I'm not expecting them." An awkward pause. They're being kind of pushy." I clenched my jaw. "I don't care. They can leave." I hung up and got a text from Mom. "We're downstairs. Open the door. No question. No explanation, just another demand." I didn't reply. Another text. "Nathan, we're not leaving until you talk to us." I exhaled sharply, standing up from my desk. They weren't backing down. Fine. I'd teach them a lesson they wouldn't forget. Grabbed my keys and stormed downstairs, my blood boiling. I wasn't scared, I was furious. The audacity of these people showing up uninvited, demanding money like I was their ATM. Not even a call first. Not even a half-hearted apology, just an ambush. They thought they could corner me into submission like I was some naive kid. I yanked the door open. There they were, Mom, Dad, and of course Ryan, standing in a tight formation like they were staging an intervention. Mom had her arms crossed, her classic disappointed mother look ready to go. Dad stood stiff, hands in his pockets, his face a mix of frustration and entitlement, like he couldn't believe I was making him do this in person. And Ryan? The little leech looked bored, like this was just a mild inconvenience, not the reason for all this. The second Mom saw me, she went full theatrics. "Nathan, finally, we need to talk." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Number, you need to leave." She blinked, like she couldn't process what I'd said. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," I said, voice calm but firm. "You don't get to show up at my apartment demanding money, that's insane." Dad scoffed sharply. "Are you really going to let us lose the house over a petty grudge?" I let out a cold laugh. "Petty grudge? You mean the one where you decided I was good enough to pay your bills, but not good enough for you? Will?" "That grudge?" Mom gasped, clutching her chest like I'd struck her. "Nathan, that's not fair. We only did what we thought was best for the family." I tilted my head. "Best for the family? You mean best for Ryan? Just say it." Silence. A long, heavy silence. Ryan, who'd been quiet, finally spoke. "Look, man, I don't even want to be involved in this. I didn't ask for anything. I turned to him, letting loose. No, you just take everything handed to you. You're 28, Ryan. Get a damn job. His face turned red. Dude, what the hell? I stepped closer. You heard me. You want to inherit the house? Act like a homeowner. You want to be the golden child? Pay their damn bills. I'm done being your bank. Ryan looked away, suddenly fascinated by the pavement. Mom took a deep breath, recalibrating her guilt trip. Nathan, he's your brother. I nodded. Yep, and I've supported him longer than you ever have. Dad's face darkened. You're being selfish. I laughed, a real, genuine laugh. That's rich coming from you. You two decided Ryan deserved everything and I deserved nothing. And now that you're paying the price for that choice, you're trying to manipulate me into fixing it? Not happening? Mom's voice sharpened. We thought you'd be mature about this. I raised an eyebrow. Mature? You mean quietly accept that I was betrayed and keep paying your bills? Because that's what you wanted. Dad stepped forward, trying to loom over me like when I was a kid. Nathan, we raised you. We fed you, clothed you, gave you everything. The least you can do is help us now. I looked him in the eye. I already did, for years, and you repaid me by cutting me out. Mom's lip trembled. We thought you'd understand. I exhaled, shaking my head. Oh, I understand perfectly. I understand I was never family to you, just a paycheck. Silence again. A suffocating, undeniable silence. I turned to Ryan, who was still pretending to be invisible. And you? What's your excuse? You had years to grow up, to contribute. But you didn't, because you knew they'd take care of you. And when they're gone, you expected me to step in, huh? Ryan snapped. What do you want me to say, man? I didn't ask for this. I nodded slowly. Right, you didn't ask. You just benefited. His mouth opened, then closed. Nothing. He had nothing. Mom tried one last guilt trip. Nathan, we're family. Family takes care of each other. I stared at her for a long moment before answering. Exactly. So why didn't you take care of me? She froze. No words, no comeback, nothing. I let out a slow breath, feeling lighter than I had in years. We're done here. I turned and walked inside, closing the door behind me. Before I reached my couch, my phone pinged. A text from Dad. Wow! After everything we've done for you, you're really gonna abandon us? I smirked, typing back, No, you abandoned me. I'm just finally accepting it. I hit send. Then I blocked their numbers. But I had no idea that blocking them would only make things worse. It didn't take long for things to spiral. Less than a day later, I started seeing posts on social media. My parents weren't tech-savvy, but they knew how to air their grievances online when they felt self-righteous. At first, I thought it was just their usual drama, airing family issues for all to see. But as I scrolled through their feeds, I realized this wasn't just about me not paying bills anymore. The posts were disguised as family love, but were thinly veiled attacks on me. Mom posted something about how she didn't raise her son to be so selfish, and how true family helps no matter what. A few of her friends commented, calling me a disappointment and out of touch with what matters. Then Dad chimed in with his own post. So-called families shouldn't turn their back when you need them most. We gave everything to our children, and this is how we're repaid. My son, who should be helping us in our golden years, has chosen to abandon us. He tagged me, adding a passive-aggressive, I hope you're happy, at the end. But the real kicker was Ryan. I should have known he'd join the drama. He shared a post dripping with falsehoods. Some people think family is just about money. They don't understand that family is about love and sacrifice. I'd do anything for my parents, but some people don't get that. They're too wrapped up in themselves to realize true love is about helping those who raised you. He even threw in a veiled jab. I wish some people could learn what it really means to be family. I love my parents, and I'm grateful for everything they've done. That was it. That was my breaking point. I sat there, staring at the screen in disbelief. How had it come to this? They'd twisted the situation, made me the villain, the selfish son who wouldn't support his sacrificial parents, the son who didn't appreciate their love. How could they? I'd always been the one who worked hard, contributed, never complained. Yet they'd convinced themselves they were right, and now they were telling everyone I was the problem. I didn't react immediately. I stepped back, gathered my thoughts, and waited a few hours. I wanted to ensure I wasn't acting out of anger, but the more I thought, the more I knew I couldn't let them get away with this. If they were going to drag my name through the mud, I'd set the record straight. So I pulled out my phone and started typing. I opened my social media account, the one I kept for close friends and real family, and posted a lengthy update. I wasn't here to play their game or get bogged down in petty arguments. I wanted to tell the truth. Here's what I wrote. I've been silent for a couple of days, but I can't stay quiet anymore. My family has been posting things online about me that are simply untrue. They've painted me as the villain, the selfish one who refuses to help my parents in their time of need. I'm here to set the record straight. I've always helped my family. Since I could work, I've been the one paying bills, buying groceries, and supporting them in every way I could. But there's a point where you can't keep giving without respect. For years, I've watched my parents favor Ryan, giving him everything, the house, the money, the attention. Meanwhile, I was expected to keep giving, never considered equal. Some of you might think that's just how family works. But here's the truth. Family should be a two-way street. When I found out my parents left everything to Ryan in their will, I realized how one-sided this relationship was. They didn't even consider me, not for a moment. They've made it clear I'm just the one they count on when things get tough, but never the one they actually want around unless it's convenient. For years, I've funded their lifestyle. I've paid for vacations, chipped in for bills, even helped with house taxes. And for what? To be treated like a backup plan? I'm done. I'm not just a wallet they can pull money from whenever they need it. I'm a human being, and I deserve respect. I've earned the right to be treated like I matter, not just when they need something. As for Ryan, it's time for him to grow up. He's 28 and has never worked a day in his life. He's never taken responsibility for anything. My parents have enabled him so long, it's no surprise he's their favorite. But he's had plenty of time to get his life together. Now it's time for him to stand on his own. To everyone following this drama and supporting my parents, understand there are two sides to every story. Yes, family is important, but it's about mutual respect. I've given enough for a lifetime, and I'm not sorry for stepping back. This isn't me turning my back on family, this is me choosing myself. To my parents, I wish you the best, but I'm done being your doormat. I hit post and instantly felt relief. For the first time, I was telling the world the truth about my family, how they'd taken advantage of me for years, how they expected me to save them without ever considering my needs. I wasn't letting their narrative control me anymore. The reactions were immediate. People I hadn't spoken to in years showed support. Cousins, friends of my parents, even distant relatives liked the post, sending private messages apologizing for what I'd been through. It felt liberating to have the truth out, not buried under guilt trips and manipulation. But then came the backlash. My parents and Ryan went ballistic. Ryan messaged me. "You're a traitor. You really had to air our business like this? You have no respect for family?" Dad called, yelling, "You've ruined everything, Nathan. You'll regret this. You'll regret cutting us off. You'll regret turning your back on your own family." But I didn't regret it. Not for a second. I blocked them all. I was done. For the first time in my life, I was free. Free from the toxic grip they'd had on me for so long. As days passed, the weight lifted off my shoulders. I was done being treated as less than. Done being expected to fix their problems. And now, I finally had the freedom to live my life on my terms. No, I don't feel bad for cutting them off. I deserved better. I still do. And from now on, I'm choosing to surround myself with people who value me for who I am, not what I can give them. It's time to move forward, for good. And I will. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.